From the California coast, on Highway 395, along the Eastern Sierras, all the way to Mammoth.
You hold my hand, I hold yours back, and I could walk blindfolded to your house. I've memorized your.
The boys had planned to do this ride on their motorcycles, and we decided to join them and come along in the vans. The first part of the journey, they took a different route, and we met up with them in the small picturesque town of Lone Pine, where we stopped for gas. We decided to find a place to set up camp for the night and continue our journey to Mammoth the next day.
Morning beauty routine. Camping.
The next morning, Julia and I hopped on the back of the boys' Harleys and we rode up Whitney Portal Road. Mount Whitney is the highest mountain in the continental United States with an elevation of 14,505 feet. We rode as far as possible by bike, and at the end of the road we came across this waterfall with ice-cold mountain water. We forgot our swimsuits, which didn't stop Forrest from going ice bathing in his underwear.
They're saying that boy's going nowhere fast. He can't get his head out his ass. He's chasing the devil, he's too.
From there we continued our journey to Mammoth, stopping for swims in the Owens River along the way to cool down. A couple of hours later, we reached our campsite in Mammoth, where we set up camp for the next days, and Forrest took the opportunity and fixed some things on his Harley.
We're on our way to June Lake right now.
It's a 35-minute drive from the campsite that we're staying at in Mammoth, and it's supposed to be a really beautiful lake. Most of the boys have decided to go mountain biking today, but
we opted out of that one.
We decided we didn't want to break our wrists and bones and stuff, so downhill mountain biking, that is, they're literally taking the gondola up and then just risking their lives, like speeding downhill. If it was like a mountain bike tour,
yeah, I would have with an e-bike. I would have done it.
It's just like the downhill part that's kind of sketchy. So
Janine brought her new sup, so I haven't used it yet. I'm super excited to try it out. I think it's a perfect place to sup.
In the middle of the night, it'll come into your light and sweep you off your feet. It's a riptide, and if the current speed brings you to the deep, away from me, it's a riptide.
Gas and beer is included.
And then they fell in the sand and then they just got shuffled around because they were just, bad placement.
The employees working at the shops in Mammoth were probably pretty confused when a group of people came in and asked for floaties. Turns out those are actually not so easy to find in town. Our mission? To float down the Owens River. We parked one car down the river and drove one back up, where we hopped in with our floaties and headed down the river.
There's boats on the water and fish on the line. Something southern on the radio dial. Tell me life ain't better in the summer. Don't it just feel right?
For sunset, we visited the famous Mammoth Hot Springs. These natural hot springs are particularly popular in winter when everything is covered in snow and you can warm up in the natural pools. We hung out, shared stories, and reflected on a fun trip so far whilst watching the sunset over the mountains. Then it was time to pack up the van again. We were headed home. The boys would ride their bikes and we would drive.
Drive safe. Talk to strangers.
I felt confident that I would master the 6-hour drive back on my own. Or not.
Janine, that's a one-way. Hey!
Before hitting the road, we had to do a pit stop at my favorite coffee shop in Mammoth, which we discovered a few days prior, Stellar Brew. We fueled up with coffee and burritos and started the journey home. That was such a fun couple of days, just spending time in nature with friends, slowing down, being outside, being in the lakes and rivers and making bonfires. It was so amazing, and I feel like it really reset my mind in a way. Whenever I do these sort of things, I'm always reminded by how incredibly recharging and good for your mind it is to spend time in nature, just like the openness of it and the simplicity of camping. You know, you're not spending hours getting ready in the morning or evening. You don't even have a proper shower. It's all very, very simplified, and I think there's something so freeing about that. What a couple of beautiful days, hanging out with friends, recharging in nature, and putting our phones on flight mode. I gotta do more of these kind of trips.